Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Speed Stuff for Charity 7. We are supporting Direct Relief's COVID-19 response, and with me here is Firesplitter. Would you like to introduce yourself, Fire?
Hello everyone, Firesplitter here, and today we are going to run some Bleed 2 on the story new game difficulty level. On this lovely morning it's over here. What is the time over there?
For me, it's 5:37 a.m.
Okay.
I don't know where Zopni, what time zone the restreamer is in, but in the Pacific time, it's currently 2 in the morning.
Oh my, that's very early.
Which is where a lot of the staff are. But for me, it's I am an early bird, so this is my peak time.
Yeah, understandable.
5:30 in the morning, sure. But yeah, if you're ready, I'm happy to give you a countdown.
Yes, I am ready as soon as I go to this screen here. We're gonna pick easy difficulty level. Wait, I'm first gonna do a little check here before we start to see if this run is gonna be legal. This is always a little check we do at start this run because as part of the new game requirement, we can only use the starting two weapons and the starting dash, which is what we have on. If anything else is on, it's basically not a legal run. So it's basically something every runner checks before they do a run of this category.
Interesting, that's pretty neat.
Yeah. But yeah, let's start.
No worries. All right, so we'll begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yes, hello everyone, as I said before, I'm Firesplitter, and today you are gonna see Bleed 2, which is an action platformer game with quite a few interesting mechanics to it. The first mechanic we're gonna look into a lot in this category in particular, as it is new game, is gonna be dash resetting. You saw a little thing there when I was able to dash more than 3 times in a row. Normally in this game you are only allowed to dash 3 times in a row before you have to land and regain speed. But if you are going off the edges, on an edge, you can basically force the game into believing you actually landed without actually landing, which is gonna give you access to 3 more dashes. This is a very common thing to use in speedruns of this game, and a lot of routing in this game is basically built around this rather than the shortest distance, because it saves so much time. So we're now down with the first 2 bosses. I wouldn't really call them bosses, but they are treated as bosses by the game, so I am gonna treat them as such. But here comes the first real boss, the Blast Jumper. Here we're gonna see how most of the boss fights in this game are looking like. They're gonna have one core pattern that they're gonna keep on using between their main patterns. And the main patterns are the thing you saw there when it jumps up. Each boss has several of these, and they're basically randomized. So boss fights are very RNG dependent in this game and how good they are going to go. Because it's very important in this category, especially when you are playing at higher times, to have good boss patterns. Especially at some bosses where the difference between good patterns and bad patterns can basically make up 20 to 30 seconds in difference. Yeah, we're going into this game's first auto-scroller. This game has quite a bit of auto-scrollers, especially later on in the run. But it's nothing, it's not really too much auto-scroller. And here comes the first final boss of the first stage, which is the mirror core. This boss is gonna do shooting a lot of these little lines of bullets that we can return. This little thing I'm gonna count with the returning of the bullets. We can only return bullets that have the same color as our hair, which means purple, because Bryn has purple hair. There is a character later on that we are gonna see some of this round who has a different color of his hair, who is a playable. And due to the fact he has yellow hair, he can obviously reflect the yellow bullets. Because that's how it works. So if someone in this universe would dye their hair like both purple and yellow at the same time, would probably be able to reflect all bullets. It's odd, it's logic, somehow. This is the course we're gonna see a lot of dash resetting I talked about earlier. We're messing up a little bit here, but that's fine. The first section here, I'm only really caring about not messing up too much. The section after this though is gonna be quite important trying to get dash reset, so I really hope we get it. Because if we get this perfect dash reset, we're not gonna have to deal with a mob that's gonna come up at the end of the course, which basically loses like 2 to 3 seconds. Getting the bullet there reflecting, that's good. And here we go, we're going into the tunnel now. This is one of the most satisfying parts of this entire game to run. As you can see, I just keep on dashing forever because the game treats me as I have landed, but I haven't. It wasn't perfect, we had to deal with that little mob there. I was a little bit too slow. Wasn't a very good tunnel. And there comes the Steam core. What we want here is... This is gonna be a pattern entire round. We want bosses to turn purple and shoot up purple stuff. And this boss is particularly... Oh no, we missed the purple one, that's embarrassing. But this boss is very, very important. That's basically the only kind of time that you can have on this boss to get purples. 2 purples. Missed 1 purple though. Next up we're gonna go to one of the more punishing fights of this game, which is Valentine with cars. Valentine is basically the main protagonist of this game, and her motives are basically she wants to become the greatest villain of all time, so she attacks. Because how do you become the greatest villain of all time? It's pretty simple actually. You defeat the greatest hero of all time, which is a title Bryn got herself at the end of the first game by very questionable means. This first boss fight is pretty free. The second part though is gonna be one of the more annoying parts of the entire game. Basically, you're gonna see here, she's gonna do the attacks she did before. If we fail anything here though, so the little car here with the yellow guy gets it, we basically gonna have to do another cycle of this, which can take like 10 seconds or something. It's a very huge time loss to fail this. 2 of her mechanics are pretty easy though, the ones we were introduced in the first part. She has a third mechanic though, which I really hope we don't see, because it's very easy to mess that one up. Okay, we didn't get to see it. The final mechanic is basically she's gonna shoot a lot of purple cars up in the air. The timing for reflecting them though is a little odd at times. You have to reflect with a good angle, otherwise you don't get reflected. Looking decent so far. So now we come to auto-scroll village. This stage is gonna have a lot of auto-scroller in it. It's basically auto-scroll for the entire stage beside the bosses. It's a pretty chill and easy stage. And after the first boss here that's gonna come up, we could read donations because there's gonna be quite a bit of outflows at the next boss. And next boss is gonna be red. She is quite interesting fight. He's gonna shoot a lot of bullets at us, and it's always one purple bullet. This fight can go very fast or take quite a while, depending on how many yellows he shoots. We're looking pretty lucky so far though. He's giving us a lot of purples, which is what we want. We had a perfect red fight there, by the way. Perfect RNG on her. Which takes us quite a bit of time. So now we can read some donations, if there are any in.
Unfortunately, at the moment, there actually aren't any donations, but we do have some incentives coming up really soon. A new incentive that I didn't say earlier, actually, it's Sonic Project 06. This is the fan-made remake of Sonic 06. It is the incentive to play as Silver, the best character, in Kingdom Valley. It's currently at $5.45, so we need $40 more to hit that. There's also I Want to Be the Pendulum, the penalty area showcase, currently sitting at $20 of 45 as well. And that is a I Want to Be the Guy fan game. That is going to be a really fun one. I'll be hosting for that as well. So please make sure to get your donations in by hitting !D in chat or going to totalfi.com /@SS4C /SS4C7 /donations. We really would appreciate any support for Direct Relief in the COVID-19 response. There's also a few bid wars currently open. There is the name of the Excadrill in Pokemon Shield that you could name. Currently, there are a total of, well, 3 names. We have Monty Mole sitting at $0. We have SS4C7 exclamation point sitting at $3, and we have the current winner, Wumbo, sitting at $5. If you want to add a name to the bid war, essentially all you have to do is comment the name you want to name the Excadrill in your donation, and we will add that to the total. There's also still the Octopath Traveler language voice. The voice language bid war. Japanese is in a shocking lead at $21.36, whereas English is only at $1. So if you want to change the types on that, again, feel free to donate. And with that, yeah, it's been a very interesting run so far. Firesplitter, this game is really fast.
It sure is.
Like really, really fast. Not to mention, I just noticed right now, yeah, this is fine. Just standing on artillery. No, nothing to worry about here. You know, these won't explode.
Yeah, pretty much. These are very, very easy to stand on, and you have to use these platforms on the boss. On the previous boss, the ninja fight, you saw me exploit a little glitch. I'm gonna exploit that glitch a little bit more as well, or I'm not sure if it's a glitch, but on that fight it's definitely a glitch. But basically, when I stood at a certain distance from the fight, I could use my katana to hurt the boss, as you saw, which is pretty much the only time in this entire run we use katana, except for in a fight on this stage as well. I'm not sure why this happens, but it probably has to do with the fact that the boss doesn't really enter invulnerability state when he starts to reflect. Basically, if you shoot bullets at him when he's like that, he's gonna start reflecting the bullets back at you, but he can't do anything about katana. So in that fight, we basically always use katana to be able to do that. If we don't do that in that fight, we lose a lot of time. And here's Chef Spammer. This is a pretty easy boss. I killed him with a little trick there, but it's fine. The trick there is basically trying to reflect both of the things at the same time, or not the same time, like slightly delayed from one another. Because if you do shoot them delayed a little bit, they do actually deal separate damage. Otherwise, they deal the same damage. Like, they are treated as one hit. If you hit them at a different time, they are treated as two hits. It's very weird how it works, but it just works like that. I think what some people discovered while they were passing the game and figured out that it was actually slightly better to shoot them separately. Which I really appreciate, as I always did it that way anyway. So here comes one of the nastier all-scrolls in the game. If we get hit in this all-scroll, we basically lose 10 seconds of time because the stage can slow down. Thankfully that didn't happen. So now comes the part of this game that we're gonna call the boss gauntlet. We basically have face 4 different bosses at the same time, who are remakes of the four heroes from the first game. Or 4 of the heroes of the first game. There's another hero that wasn't remade here. For reasons. They're basically robot versions of those. First one is Robot Guppy, a quite easy boss. Next one is Skippy and Stu, who are gonna be 2 worms who goes across the screen. The reason why everything here is mechanical is because they are basically mechanical replicas of the heroes that were used to... I think they were used to protect town in the first game. I'm not too sure about the lore in the first game, to be honest. Because I haven't played that as much as I played Wii 2.
I was like, this is a continuation of Mega Man block, because this just feels exactly like Mega Man 10.
Yeah. It definitely feels like Mega Man. It definitely has that feel to it. It's very, very, very clear.
Gotta have those Wii fights in. Gotta have those Wii fights.
Yeah. This game is very, very much an inspiration from the Mega Man series, I would say. Oh my, we have Hercules on use this boss fight, by the way. This makes this fight so much easier.
Awesome.
This fight can be a lot rougher if the boss keeps on doing that thing all the time. So we're gonna have to spin around and use the gun. But if the boss is slow, we can basically stand and do this katana thing. But if it's like high, we gotta have to spin around with the boss. That one's very smooth. Here comes Robo Bunny. This boss is very, very, very sketchy. He can either be very quick or a little bit slower. It looks like we're gonna get there fast though. He's gonna fly around. You can't hurt him while he's flying around. Because even though it looks like you can hurt her, you literally can't, because her hitbox is literally off the screen. It actually is off the screen in such a way that it shares its hitbox space with another hitbox, which is for Brim's kick. This is not really usable in this run though, as we are not allowed to use the kick, as this is new game, but in freestyle you basically use the kick there to make her take constantly high damage while she is dashing like that. You can however hurt her there by slowing down time. There's a specific slow throw button. But we are never really using the speedrunning, except for during one little part or 2 parts. There is one other part I'm not using it in because on easy it's not really doable. But the part we use it on is on the first boss fight that was so quick you didn't see it happen. There is... oh no.
Oh no, this is like when it's better.
Yeah, there we go.
Firesplitter.
There we go. I did it.
There was a run earlier that had Megalovania as a ringtone interrupt the run.
Oh no.
So this is at least slightly better.
Yeah. Turn it off though. Turns off though,
Yeah, don't worry.
should be any
The
problem.
fact you're able to do this in the middle of this run is insane.
Yeah, it happens. I'm so used to this run. I was doing a section where it doesn't really matter if I am doing anything or not because we couldn't hurt a boss or proceed in any way. We took a little bit of damage due to it though, but that shouldn't come and bite
Apple
us.
ringtone damage, my favorite kind.
Yeah. But there we go, a segment slider. It works very, very much like the Yellow Devil, I think it's called, from Mega Man, as you can see. Like that's one of the like very, very clear inspirations from the Mega Man series. That's one boss. I think the first game had a similar boss as well. But it's just such a classic boss fight in this genre. The little thing that's interesting with that fight though is that you can basically only hurt in the center. So you have to wait until the center is exposed. And there are like 3 things that covers the center. It's the center one, the lower center one, and the upper center one. What you hope for there is basically for the real center one to be shoot away very, very early. That fight can go very quickly if that happens twice in a row. I don't think that happened, that fight took a little longer than usual. And here are the Nemesis core. We're gonna fly around here. Having perfect pattern here. At least for a start. If we're lucky, we can get a very rare thing to happen. I don't think it's gonna happen though. I think we did a little damage there, but we can try. There we go, exposed. That mechanic is both the worst and best at the same time. Oh no, we didn't get it. We didn't get it. I was so close. What I wanted to do was to 2-cycle this boss fight. I have only managed to do it once. It's very, very hard to do. You basically have to have that exact pattern we had, and you have to always shoot to the boss when it's exposed. Which is very hard in the first pattern because it's only a little part of him that's exposed. But the second part, if we do what we did there and fully expose the boss, which is very, very rough to do, we can basically always shoot at the boss. But I think it takes a little bit more damage as well. It at least feels like it takes more damage when more of the things are removed. But here comes the nastiest part of this run. This is basically the part of the run where it's often decided if a run can even be the world record run or not. And that's because this is one of the bosses I talked about earlier, where what pattern we have is gonna influence the time a lot. The difference between a good and bad pattern here can basically over half a minute, I think, the difference between the worst patterns and the best ones. We are having a very bad pattern here though. This boss can be very, very quickly done with because of the Pac-Man pattern, which we have not seen so far.
So there's no way to control the patterns at all?
No, there's not. At least what's known.
Wow, that is...
We had a very bad pattern there.
That is really,
it's really rough. There is also the final boss is having a similar deal, but there you can at least mitigate the damage by using very high risk strats, which we are probably gonna do because I have practiced that strat a lot. But if I'm low on health on the final boss, I'm not gonna use it. Yeah, it's quite a brutal RNG check there. If we get Pac-Man, something else Pac-Man, that fight's basically done in 3 cycles instead of what was that? Was like 5-6 cycles. And these cycles add like 10 seconds or something like that.
Dang.
And the bullet pattern in particular is very bad because it's one of the slowest patterns, so it's basically a pattern we never ever want to see. Here comes Battle 1. This is basically the final boss fight against Valentine, who was the main antagonist of this game. I won't say protagonist, but she's the antagonist. He's gonna shoot all of the enemies at us with her telekinesis skills. You can see a lot of that in this phase. She's quite an interesting fight. She can also use teleportation, which you're gonna see soon. This is basically her hard pattern. We're gonna have to go to those places. On easy, this pattern is actually pretty easy. On very hard though, that pattern can be extremely brutal. And you might have to exploit the fact that the hitboxes for those things falling down are actually quite a bit smaller than they look like. To basically stand between the hitboxes. Here comes Phase 3 when she's got teleport all over. This part is very rough with controller, because the controller aiming is a little slow and very precise. Aiming is hard on controller, we failed that part. That's annoying. Still looking good though. Okay, so we have to take some damage here. And you will see soon why we have to take damage. We're gonna do a little exploit here. Once he rises up here, we're gonna die. This is to skip a long animation that explains the mechanic of this one fight that's coming up. Otherwise, we're gonna have to watch a 10 to 15 seconds long animation. I think it's somewhere between 10 to 15 seconds, but I'm not sure because this was age ago, saw it. Gold here is based to stun lock her because the crowd has turned against her because her minions didn't like her anymore because she like keep on throwing them at her. I don't know why they would hate her because she basically threw them on everyone, but whatever. So there we go, she's down. The main antagonist of this game is done, but the game is still not over yet. It's not over yet. We have one more stage. And I am gonna explain the story that's gonna unfold here because the story that's gonna unfold here is very, very crazy. It's like one of the craziest parts of this game. There is actually a long cutscene that explains it, but that cutscene is like 25 to 30 seconds long or something like that, so we don't really want to watch it. It's like super long. What is happening here is that the yellow-haired guy is basically upset with Brim because he got all of the glory from the people for defeating Valentine, even though he helped. Because the people do not like him. The people don't like him after the first game, for reasons that I don't want to spoil. So he's basically not seen as a real hero, while Brim is a real hero. And he wants to get the title of being a hero as well. So he's basically challenging Brim to a battle here. Whoever wins gets the title of the greatest hero of all time. And if Brim wins, they have to sit and play video games all day long. That was what we saw on the title screen, by the way, when we sat and played video game. Basically, that's what happens after credits in this game. Because once Brim wins, Rival has to sit and play video games with her for all eternity. Because he wants a friend. It's like all she wants. That's why she wanted to be a hero in the first place, because she wanted friends. But she figured out that she wasn't really getting friends by being a hero. She only gained like fans, but wasn't really the same thing as having friends. So that's like her core dilemma in this game. It's a very, very interesting story like that. It's like every single little... I don't know what to say. Like there's so many tropes in it that are like reversed and like it's so tropey. And there was a wait core. We can go down now to the final 3 bosses. The first of these 3 bosses is the Spider Core. On this boss fight, we want the boss to reflect to shoot a lot of purple rockets at us. We can also take some purple balls that comes out and does a bit of damage. We want the purple rocket basically. Purple rockets here are wonderful. These are good when we get 3 of them. They're almost good. There we go. There's purple rockets. As you can see, it does a lot of damage just like reflecting anything purple in this game. I've been very bad today with reflecting purples. I'm normally not this bad with reflecting purples, but I gotta blame this early in the morning. It's like 12 in the day or something. So I gotta blame for being early. We're gonna use Katana here to basically clean up this part a little faster. It takes a little bit of time. We're gonna try to clear a little stair there so we can basically stand here and then climb up once it's time. There we go. That's the safest way to handle this, except for another strat that we are not really using. I think it's pretty rough in this difficulty level. There's basically another strat in this boss fight where you stand behind the boss. I think it's slightly better. Slightly better. And there we go. That was a good pattern. Now it comes to the final boss. This is the other RNG check. Oh no, did boss have like a sliver of health left there? I was thinking it died. It was like just a little... This was just a pixel of health left basically. But yeah, here comes the final fight versus Rival. This boss fight is pretty much like the fights we saw before, in that it's very RNG heavy. This fight also has some patterns that are way better than others and some patterns which are horrible. Thankfully we have a lot of health, so we can mitigate the worst pattern, which is the Katana. And I'm gonna show you then how we do it. The patterns we want is basically the big ball and a gun. He's gonna pick up a gun. There's Katana, we're gonna manipulate Katana here to basically be able to hurt him still. There we go. That one works exactly like the ninja fights, so it's basically the same mechanic, only that this boss is moving, so it's a little bit rougher to perform it. Which is why it's pretty high risk. I don't really like doing this strat when I'm low on health. But as we are high on health, we can do it. This was a pretty horrible final boss fight. We still did it. We still had a very, very good split there. And it's time now. Hello.
Sorry, awesome. Your final time is 23:58.
Oh, that's pretty good actually, considering the RNG we had.
Yeah, it was a very.
We had the worst
run.
possible RNG on both of the RNG checks, basically.
Yeah, but still, you really combated that pretty well.
Yeah.
Going back into it
Yeah.
and trying your best. It still was well underestimated as well.
Yeah. I always put this category a lot underestimated because there are a lot of RNG in this game. And I basically did some math and like accounted for everything bad that can happen in the entire run and came up with it's gonna be like about 25 minutes if everything in the game goes as bad as it possibly can. So it's very safe to estimate the 26 then because it's never gonna go over that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this was a really good run though, Firesplitter.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Congratulations, for sure. Thank you for
thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for running. Honestly,
it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it was honestly really cool. I've never seen Bleed 2 before, and so that was my first experience seeing it. Really glad I could see it.
Yeah, I'm happy you got to see it.
I mean, I don't know how awake I am. I'm gonna remember it, but you know.
Yeah, that happens.
I remember. All I can remember is if you dye your hair, you're unstoppable. That's like the one thing that it's kept in my mind.
Yeah.
If only they realized two-tone was a thing in
this
game,
exactly,
everything would be solved.
Oh, it would be solved. It would be any RNG. Well, it would be a little bit, but it wouldn't be that much.
Yeah, thank you for running for us, Firesplitter.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it.